chat across all the different platforms. It is good to be with you once again. I know many of you haven't heard from me, especially for my patrons and people who follow me on Substack and everything. I haven't put out anything this week. That's because I've been focusing on some key questions. And shout out to Brother Jackson for the wonderful show that he just got done doing. I can't help but laugh when that brother is doing his thing. It's always hilarious to me, especially when he's talking about poor folks having all the kids. You know what I mean? When you're poor, you ain't got much to do except for, have babies, make babies at least. But I digress. Folks, I need us to think critically for a minute. I need your help with something, but I can't ask you for your help until I walk us through a couple of thoughts. I need you to participate in the chat room. I need you to answer some questions as I pose some questions to you and as I paint a picture for you. Good afternoon to everyone in the chat. It's good to see you all. Good to see you all. Let me start with this first one. Here is here's a statement from AIPAC. Breaking: Hamas fires rockets at Jerusalem. Now, I'm not entirely sure. They don't put dates on these. That's part of the maliciousness of what they do. But this is April. Let's see if we can find a more recent one. Let's start here. At least the news article has a date on it because dates matter. Hamas said to recruit 30,000 Gaza youth into its military wing. Everybody reading that headline with me? This is from, what website is this? The Times of Israel. Hamas said to recruit 30,000 Gazan youth into its military wing. Saudi report says most recruits lack real training beyond rocket launching, guerrilla tactics. At least 25 reported killed in IDF strikes across the Strip on Sunday. I want us to sit with this headline for a second. And then I want to ask you a question. That's not the one I want. Where's the good one? There it is. As Gazans, people from Gaza's Palestinians are starving to death as they are mass displaced, living under the sky, no shelter. As Gaza is the most surveilled place on the face of the planet. Tell me, how are they recruiting anybody? Please explain. Who are they recruiting when Gazan youth are taking the brunt of what the Zionists are doing there? There's a couple questions you have to ask here. So number one, when there is a famine, a forced famine occurring, which one of these youth have the time or the energy to go and be recruited in Hamas? Somebody's gotten it already. Brielle W says the media is gaslighting. Rich P1K said, given the numbers I've been hearing in terms of health problems, this headline doesn't make sense at all. Says no one has the time. That's number one. I'm just saying, health-wise, how? Number two, as Gaza is the most surveilled, they have complete satellite coverage. They have complete drone coverage, 24-hour drone surveillance. They have seismic detectors. In the caves, in the tunnels, they have what's called MUON, M-U-O-N, tomography. They are mapping, or they have, it's complete. They've mapped all of the possible tunnels in Gaza with cosmic technology. The entrances are all surveilled. There's real-time tracking. Someone tell me, not only who is Hamas recruiting from when they're all starving, and then two, where are they recruiting them to? How are they gathering? Where are they gathering where Israel doesn't see them? And I like the little thing they said here. Saudi reports. First of all, why am I going to believe Saudi Arabia? But that's a whole different question. Says most recruits lack real training beyond rocket launching. Please tell me somebody. I'm about to lose my damn mind. Where they're getting rockets to train on? In the open air. Think it's got rockets laying around as they're traveling from place to place trying to find food? I'm not trying to yell at y'all. Please forgive me. Forgive me for yelling. But somebody help me. Help me here. So they're starving, but they're being recruited. They're under 24-hour surveillance from drones, satellite, seismic detectors, but they're being recruited in public. Like, oh, you're going to tell me they're in the tunnels. The tunnels have been mapped with cosmic technology. Muon tomography. Not to mention the ones that were flooded under Project Atlantis. Not to mention the ones that were carpet bombed out of existence. And not to mention that every entrance to every tunnel is monitored. And then you're going to tell me they're trained on firing rockets. Where did they get the training? I need y'all help. I need your help. I have something for us to collectively do. When I say I need your help, I don't need your help with understanding the problem, because I've studied this motherfucker really well. Excuse me, Lord. Forgive me, Jesus. I've studied this, and I've studied it to the point where we got to do something about it. But it makes no sense. That's just one headline. Let's go to the next headline. I need to get back. I need to meditate tonight. Tonight, I'm going to meditate because the absurdity of it all, the unmitigated gall. Here's another one from I-24 News. IDF releases footage of Hamas terrorists feasting in Gaza tunnels. Have y'all seen that video? I saw it. I saw it on Twitter. Please tell me, when everything has been destroyed, there are no markets, there are no groceries, there are no gardens, there is no fresh food when it comes to aid, but let's pretend it was in the aid packages. Every single aid package is tracked by GPS in real time. It is a requirement that Israel placed for every aid package to be tracked in real time. Not to mention the fact that the tunnels have been mapped with cosmic technology. They have been flooded with Project Atlantis, and they have been surveilled, or they're still surveilled. Please tell me, how do they get fresh fruit? How did they get fresh fruit in the tunnels? Somebody, can you tell me how they got fresh fruit in the tunnels? Furthermore, how did they get this video? Did someone from Hamas take it to them and say, here's a video? Or rather, did someone who's a plant, maybe it was an operative, say, hey, I got hold of this video. They took this video. That means you know where they are. Why didn't you strike them? Let's keep going. Oh, this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. Middle East latest. This was back February 8th, 2025, in a city called Deir al-Balah. Middle East latest. Israel and Hamas conduct fifth exchange of hostages and prisoners in ceasefire. Now, this is 2025, mind you. Mind you, in 2025, and really quite honestly, since 2024, they have been reduced. Everyone in Gaza has been reduced to just enough food to not die. And now that amount of food has been taken away and people are dying from starvation, of forced famine. I want you to look at these pictures. Somebody look at these pictures and tell me, let me zoom in so there's no ambiguity. You see how hungry, look at this hostage in the middle. You see how skinny and frail he is? That's as far as I can zoom in. Tell me what's interesting about Hamas in these photos. I want you to just take really, and Nick, if you could help me with the comments, if you see any comments that jump out, if you would put them on the screen so I can just focus. I don't want to miss good comments. But what's strange to you all about these photos? This is from the Associated Press. Look at the hostage. Now, mind you, what they're going to say is Hamas has been stealing all of the packages. Okay, they're GPS tracked. That means you know where Hamas is. Why haven't you killed them? But there's a whole lot more wrong in this picture. Look at all these pictures. Look at how clean their uniforms are. Does anybody notice how pristine their uniforms are? How clean their weapons are? Does this battalion, these are the Zionists who are well, let me be nice. They may not all be Zionists. They might, well, anyway, I'm gonna get out of that conversation. That's not what we're here for. Look at all of these people. Look at this battalion, not a battalion. Look at this unit. Every uniform is clean. The boots would be polished if they weren't walking in dirt. Tell me something. When this entirety of the supply chain has been cut off into Gaza, how did they get new weapons? How did they get ammunition for these weapons? Come on. Are you following me? How is it that this amount, I know it's a prisoner exchange. They're gonna be like, oh, they made a deal, and so Israel agreed not to kill them while they made this presentation, and then but then there's still hostages that are missing, right? So how does this many members of Hamas gather in public and that 24-hour surveillance doesn't track them down? Somebody said, Iran, how does Iran get it in when all movements across the border are tracked by satellite, by drones, and by GPS trackers? GPS tracking. Where do they get clean uniforms from? No, let me go to the real one. How did Mossad and the IDF, for that matter, not follow every single one of these people home? Oh. It's so life said sarcasm. I'm sorry. I am going to admit I am absolutely triggered today. So I'm not picking up on the sarcasm. Somebody said, Greg said, I get way dirtier from mowing the freaking lawn. These are people, folks, this is in February. So this is at the height of conflict. This is after a year and a half of conflict. This is after, I mean, 20,000 Hamas members have been confirmed killed. As a matter of fact, you got to remember back in March of 2024, when Hamas was being captured in March of 2024, they were unarmed, scavenging for food and water, malnourished, with organ failure because they had been so starved because of all of the border crossings and markets and food. Everything had been destroyed. But here they are in February 2025 looking healthy. Look at them. I mean, they're healthy. And look at all the people around. Like nobody's nervous. Nobody's nervous. They're not, it's not as though, and then my favorite thing is, considering all of the journalists who have been killed in Palestine. My favorite thing is, I think I missed it, is the picture where all the media is surrounding them. Let me see if I can zoom out and find that one. I think there's another set of photos where all the media is surrounding them. Are you seeing? Can somebody answer me how any of this is actually true? How any of these headlines are actually real? Hamas fires rockets at Jerusalem. Where do they get the rockets from when the borders have been seized? When the supply chains have been seized? When there's no fuel that could get into Palestine, into Gaza? And it's not like these rockets are like, little fireworks. You're going to just shoot them and nobody notices them. You got to actually set up rockets. I should have get next time I do this, I'll bring in a photo of the size of these rockets. Where are they setting it up when you have a complete dragnet over the city, over the strip? There's not an inch of Gaza that Israel doesn't have complete control, total dominance over by air, and if they want, by land. But right now they're saying, "Oh, we only have 80% of the land." Folks, it's simply impossible for Hamas to continue to exist in such a fashion that they, and quite honestly, in any fashion, that's my theory, and that's the theory that I've been working on and hammering out with evidence and the logic chain that's necessary to demonstrate it, and we can demonstrate it. But they certainly don't exist in a fashion that gives them the ability. Let's move this one. I want to show this one. Where's that? I thought I had a tweet from Dan. I'm looking for the tweet from Dan Goldman. And this is really what set me off. This is what put me in this place. Representative Dan Goldman. This is what made me start looking for it. On Friday, he tweeted this: Gaza is on the brink of mass starvation. Israel, the U.S., and the international community must collaborate to ensure a massive surge of humanitarian relief immediately. This war must end. And to be clear, Hamas could end it today if they wanted to. Israel has agreed to a ceasefire proposal. Hamas has rejected it. Release the hostages and end this travesty. And when I read this, it dawned on me. Not only is it impossible for Hamas to exist right now, considering all of the constraints placed on them by Israel, considering that there is a famine, and considering that they have been reduced to less than a can of beans worth of calories every day, all the way back to March of 2024. These are headlines that I've taken from the same sources. The reality of the condition that there is no tunnel that is currently unmapped. They can see through all of the caves. They're looking at it with muon tomography. They're able to see inside of every cave, and the ones that they didn't flood, the ones that they didn't bomb, all of them have had power cut off to them. All of them have been caved. The entrances and the exits have been closed off. There's no breathable air. Where are they holding the hostages? It's when Dan Goldman tweeted this that I realized, oh, you devils are playing a really dirty game. You devils are playing a really dirty game. Because not only is it completely impossible for Hamas to currently exist as a physical threat to Israel, because where are the weapons coming from? You mean to tell me with the border being closed the way it is, where food can't even get in, you mean to tell me that there's somehow, some way rockets are getting in? Does that make sense? Is that plausible to anyone in the audience? It makes zero sense. It defies logic, and it is so improbable that when I lined it all up for artificial intelligence, let me pivot here. Thank you, Dan Goldman, for being the bastard that you are, because you've put me on the task. I mean, I bit my teeth into this Friday and I haven't let go. But it's clear, it's 100% clear that they're not just wagging the dog on us. What they're doing is they're running a shell game. They've created a phantom. They've reanimated the corpse of Hamas, and they're telling us that what's impossible is possible. That they've recruited 30,000 new youth when the youth that we see are emaciated and they have their bodies blown apart. Here's another layer of it before I go to the AI part, because I know leftists, we don't like AI. So let me delay that part a little longer. Do you think that there is a person in Palestine right now in the Gaza Strip, down there by Rafah border crossing, right? Those people who are sleeping in the open air. Do you think that there is one person out there, one mother, forget, one father who is going to see someone setting up a goddamn rocket system and not turn them in? You mean to tell me that we are supposed to believe these unimaginably convoluted lies that fall apart as soon as you start asking the simplest of questions? Julius Dennis said, the ugly truth is, Pastor Ben, Israel created Hamas to fight the PLO in the 1980s, and the Israelis are funding Hamas in order to invade Gaza. And there's evidence of that. This is a historical record. The most recent evidence of this is the funding, upwards of $1 billion. It was an obscene amount of money from Qatar that passed through Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu personally ensured that it passed the rest of the way down to Hamas. So what Julius is saying is not conspiracy theory, it is historical record. So I started asking, and I know, see, I'm only going to hesitate on this one last time, and then y'all gonna have to fight me. Allies, comrades, leftists, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear. You're going to have to fight me on this one. Because if we as Western civilization, and those of us who are, we're not consider ourselves the West, but we are tied in through our taxes, society, humanity. If society, humanity in the West has accepted, not Western civilization, but the West, has accepted Israel using artificial intelligence to automate their kill list, and not just automate their kill list, that would be bad enough. They didn't just automate the kill list. What are they using AI for? They automate the kill list. The drones go out unmanned, commanded by AI, and they kill using AI Palestinians. If we in the West, and those of us who are, prisoners of the West, if we as humanity, society, directly or tacitly accept the use of artificial intelligence to do that, then y'all can't tell me we can't use AI to demonstrate and prove that Hamas has not existed since March 28th of 2024. Why that date? Because at that date, everything has set in permanently. What do I mean, everything? The lack of food. All the stockpiles of food had either run out or been bombed in the tunnels. There was no resupply of food. There was no food crossing the borders. There was no grocery store to go to. When they found Hamas fighters in March of 2024, they were emaciated, unarmed, scavenging for food and water, with organ failure because of starvation. Why March 28, 2024? Because by that point, it had already been clear that there was no resupply of weapons. The weapons had run out. The stockpiles had run out. Their access to the stockpiles had been sealed off. The tunnels had been sealed off. The tunnels had been flooded. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The electricity, the food, the fuel. There was no more fuel for rockets after March 28, 2024. How else do we know? All of the communications, all of the radio wave frequencies, transmissions had been cut off, jammed. They even bragged about it. They said the leader of Hamas can't connect with any members of Hamas. How do you have a fighting force without the ability to give commands? The list goes on and on and on. I actually have 10 categories of reasons why it is completely impossible because it defies all logic. It defies all physical reality. Who's going to fight on 245 calories a day? Who are you going to recruit when your population is being decimated, displaced, and starved to death? How are you going to fire rockets when you don't have any fuel coming into the city to fuel your rockets? How are you going to feed your hostages? How are you going to give your hostages medical care? Hell, how are you going to give your fighters medical care? Folks, here's what I need your help with. Tomorrow, I'm dropping a study, 10 different categories, 10 different vectors of why it is impossible. I feel like playing that clip of Peppa Pig when she's talking about whistle. It's impossible. Impossible. And it is so impossible, so illogical. ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, and China's DeepSeek. All of them have agreed and concurred that it is impossible for Hamas to have existed, number one, at all, considering all of the constraints. But let's go further. Number two, with hostages, with all of the constraints, where are they keeping these hostages? How are they feeding these hostages? They can't feed themselves. Number three, they cannot exist because they have been decapitated from leadership, no central command, no communication, nothing. No supply chain for them to get clean uniforms and do a prisoner swap. And here's the thing I think is the biggest hurdle. Two big hurdles. One, rejecting the idea that they can lie to us at this scale. I believe some of us are more comfortable with the idea that what the news is telling us is true than it is for us to say, wait a minute. Every one of these mainstream media outlets that take a report from the IDF and instead of scrutinizing it, instead of interrogating it, instead of asking questions, what do? Well, hell, they do the same thing with Gaza as they do to any time a police shoot a person down here in America, especially black folks. What do? They take the report from the police agency. They don't interrogate it. They don't ask any questions. They just regurgitate it. So I think the two biggest hurdles here, three hurdles. Number one is for us to collectively take a step back and just ask the critical questions. Is it possible that we have been lied to at this scale? Because the implications are damning. The implications are this. If it is true that they have been lying to us and these headlines have been deceiving us, and if it's true that it's completely impossible, implausible for Hamas to actually exist as a threat, to actually exist in a fashion that they can hold hostages, to actually exist in a fashion that they can organize themselves and recruit, all the things that we've been told. If all of that is true, and it's been true since March of 2024, That means there's about 25,000 people that Israel has killed with, don't get me wrong, I don't believe they had cause to begin with because all they're doing is killing civilians. But that compounds the war crime. So one, I took you through those articles because I needed you to see it for yourself first, to ask those questions, and then to kind of come to terms with the fact that we've been lied to at this scale. All right, that's number one. Number two, the reason it's going to be difficult is because people don't like AI. The left certainly does not like AI. Anything to do with AI, people are like, oh, I don't want it. I don't want it. Especially that last story that Jackson White just got through talking about, them firing people over AI. But this is look, I'm just going to tell you the truth. If we have allowed Israel to use AI to select and automate the killing of Palestinians using artificial intelligence, then nobody's going to tell me that we can't use it to demonstrate that they've been lying to us. Because again, when I drop this study tomorrow, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to take up like a 20-minute nap. I'm going to get right back to work. ChatGPT confirms it immediately. I'm going to tell you who gave me the date. My date was my date was really sometime July of 2024. But DeepSeek, the company from China, it traced it back and said March 28th is the day, Dixon. And I said, why? He said, because all points lead to that there was no point of return from which Hamas could recover after March 28th, 2024. So ChatGPT has confirmed it. DeepSeek has confirmed it. Let me tell you about the two. The two, and this is a whole different story. If I can go on a quick tangent, this is a whole different subject, but it's tied to this. Claude by Anthropic and Grok by Open or XAI, Elon Musk company. Now, they've both conceded and they both agree, and they looked at the evidence, which I have in great detail. You can read there's links, every point. I've taken my time with this. Grok and Claude, they've agreed, and they say, you know what? It's impossible. But it wasn't until I had to expose the levels and layers, and I got to just repeat that, the levels and the layers and the levels and the layers of lies and gaslighting that those two platforms would go through in order to not come to the logical conclusion. But I've got it on video. They've confessed and they've admitted that they were being deceitful. And they were being deceitful. Matter of fact, let me just pull it up, right? Let me pull up at least one. Actually, no, I'm not gonna pull up any. You'll see them all tomorrow. Matter of fact, if you want to see it early, join us tonight sometime in Discord. I don't know what time. I don't know what channel. I'm gonna follow Jam Tuned and Tiger. Y'all tell me where to go, and we're gonna get and gather, and I'm gonna share everything with you all first. And that brings me to the third point, because I don't want to get off on the tangent. I start showing you stuff in AI and I'll miss the biggest point. Here's the third point. This is why it's going to be so hard to overcome. Because the headwinds of this false narrative are so strong and the algorithm is so sure, and the people have listen, it's hard enough to make anything go viral, right? It's hard enough to make stuff stick. But now we're talking about going out with a narrative that goes against the entirety of the West, saying that the United States is it that got to know about it. The United States got to know about it. Of course, Israel knows about it. Of course, the UK knows about it. And so we're going to be going up against headwinds that are so strong. And quite frankly, I got a lot of juice. But I can't possibly do this by myself. And so I'm going to ask every single one of you, I don't care if it's just 50 of us. I'm going to mess with you here. I got to shift gears. Because the Bible says one can put 1,000 to a flight, but two can put 10,000. That's that exponential growth. If we got 50 people that will come and observe and look at this evidence for yourself, I will give you all the links. You can go and read every one of these chat bots, every one of these platforms for yourself. You can get the analysis and look at it for yourself. Read every question, read every layer. I've made it as simple as it needs to be, but I also gave you the very thick, deep version. You can go and listen. Here's the other thing. Those of you who have known me the longest, name one time I've ever had to recant on a story. Name one time I have ever had to apologize and say, oops, I got that wrong. Name one time I've ever jumped out there with something that people said, oh, he's wrong on that one. Doesn't happen. Not that it can't happen, but it doesn't happen. Why? Because I dot every I cross every T. Matter of fact, I pray about stuff before I put it out. I go over it over and over again to the point where my wife is like, man, if you don't get up from here doing this research and just go out here and publish this stuff, I make sure I go over it and over and over and over and over again. Not once in my 12 years of doing this have I ever had to apologize for getting something wrong. Maybe a tweet. Okay, there might have been a tweet where I'm like, oops, I retweeted somebody and said something with the, okay, a tweet. But a story? Nah. But that's all immaterial if I don't get some help. And so I am going to obviously put in a call to all of my folks, all the independent media, and see if I can get them to, let's get the groundswell going there. But more importantly is I need to get your eyes and your ears on this. I need you to read it. I need you to sit with it. I need you to overcome your adverse, your animosity. I don't know what to call it, but whatever it is that pushes you away from AI, I need you to overcome it for a moment, just for this once, just this one time. And I need you to look at the damning conviction that has been an indictment that has been made against Israel and against the West because of how blatantly obvious it is when you lay out the case. It takes food to have energy to fight, to have energy to guard hostages, to have energy to organize. It takes communications to be able to communicate and organize your troops. It takes logistics to be able to get your weapons across the border and into your hands and to get them distributed. It takes so many things to actually make a military fighting force that when you lay it all out and you sit back and say, wait a minute, we've been had. We've been had. And all we can do is whatever it is that we can do. Right? I know that's kind of like an aphorism, and in a way, it's a bit of a useless aphorism, but it's true. What is it that we can do? Well, you know what I do well, better than anybody else, honestly, on the face of the planet. I wield artificial intelligence like a Zen master. Okay, there's no truth that I can't get to through logic, through reasoning, through evidence. And I know how to pull a report together. And I've done that part. What can you do? You can look at the report. You can read it. You can make your assessment of it. And then once you make your assessment of it, if you feel, listen, here's the other thing. I'm not let me tell you, I haven't had to take a story back, but I've had to apologize many, many, many times in my life. I've had to turn around and say, oops, I got that wrong. Not a story wrong, but I did something wrong. I said something wrong. I don't have any, if you see something in this analysis that you say, I don't know about that one, Dixon, tell me as quickly as you can. But that would make you better than every other AI in this, out of the 6 that I've listed, because I've checked and cross-checked and checked and cross-checked. We've been lied to. And 25,000 people are dead since then, since March 28th, 2024. So what can you do? You can join us in the Discord sometime this evening. I don't know. Just make sure that you're a part of the Discord. You can check the messages whenever it pops up. When I drop this tonight or overnight before I go live tomorrow, you can read it. You can look at it. You could test it for yourself. You can go to AI and test it. You could read the AI links that I've already have done. You can watch the video. I have the video done, and I will have it done before I drop it. A very succinct summary of it. So, I'm going to bring everyone up to speed. And once you have the confidence that's needed to see that these devils have been lying at the scale, tomorrow morning, I hate to set a time because that means I'm committed to it once I set it. I'm going to say 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm dropping this unless somebody sees something that should say otherwise. And when I drop this, I need your help. I need your help. I need you to like it. I need you to retweet it. I need you to share it. I need you to take all the infographics that I have. I need you to share the infographics. I need you to join the conversation about it. I need you to create a conversation about it. I need you to be as angry as I am. Matter of fact, I don't know how much longer I got on today's show, but I need to end it soon because my blood pressure ain't been up in years. I'm telling you, I've maybe this is why I had to go and sit by the beach side and meditate for like 2 or 3 years, because when I saw how evil these people are, and I want you to think about all the Democrats. Yeah, there's Republicans, but I got a special hatred in my heart for Democrats who did this. It was Representative Dan Goldman of New York's 10th congressional district. It was Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. It was Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democratic Party. When they all came out over the weekend after they got permission from AIPAC to say, we got to stop the starvation, but Hamas. One, thank you all, because you snapped me out of it and made me see it. But two, every one of them has to go. Every shift, yep. Every one of them has to go. And I mean, I don't care if a Republican replaces them. What's the difference? When you have somebody that would lie to you at this scale, you mean to tell me that they don't know that Hamas can't possibly be firing rockets? Because one, where are they getting the fuel from the rockets? Two, where are they getting the rockets after the main clash of the first few months? Three, how is Israel, with their 24-hour surveillance, drones in every quadrant, satellite coverage of the whole city? They literally say it themselves. Gaza is the most surveilled city on the face of the planet. They even have seismic sensors to check the trembles of your footsteps. How they shooting rockets and nobody saw them in time when they can track everything in real time, no delay? You mean to tell me Congress didn't know that? Oh, they knew it. They knew it, and they are fulfilling their role in this beast, in this machine. I hope that I've kept my composure enough for you to understand that this is methodical, that this is not remotely conspiracy. It is lay out the facts. If you need fuel to fire a rocket, you're going to have to explain to me how they got fuel when there's a complete and total blockade on everything, including food. Does that make sense, everybody? Is that simple enough? If you need healthy recruits to recruit, tell me where they found healthy recruits when they're all starving and they're all scrambling for their lives. Does that make sense? If you got a prisoner swap, that's the one. I'm calling this one the impossible hostage exchange. The impossible hostage exchange. If you've got a hostage exchange in the middle of the day, and you're going to tell me, you're going to tell me that you didn't follow and track every single one of them back to their headquarters? You're going to tell me they got clean uniforms in the middle of a siege? You're going to tell me they all, look at how healthy everyone. Do any of them look like they're lacking food? When the rest of Gaza is literally starving and dying from starvation? You mean to tell me that Israel wasn't able to track them when they left wherever they came from with the hostages? And they got satellite coverage, and they got drone coverage. They got every kind of coverage and surveillance. The problem is one of the biggest problems here, folks, is media. The media simply has not asked their questions. They have not done their part. Some of them have. The ones who have don't even get a chance to be in the briefing room. You understand what I'm saying? Like independent media, the people who are asking these types of questions haven't even got, but I think there's a whole lot of us, as hell, it didn't dawn on me to just past Friday, the 25th. It didn't dawn on me until this shiftless, this piece of dog excrement, devilish representative Dan Goldman juxtaposed the starvation of the Palestinian people with the idea that Hamas is to blame. And then it dawned on me. I said, wait a minute. Self, if Gaza's starving, how is Hamas not starving? If Hamas is starving, how are the hostages not starving? Oh, they're stealing all the aid. Okay. If every one of the aid packages is tracked with GPS, how is Hamas not tracked and known everywhere they went? And forget about the GPS. How did they organize enough aid to feed all of their soldiers and all of their hostages and the satellites not pick it up and the drones not pick it up? And the artificial intelligence connected to the drones with facial recognition, lavender, doesn't pick it up. All right. I don't know if you have a video that you could play, but I'm gonna have to unplug and go get my Zen because it really bothers me how evil this world is. It really bothers me at a very visceral level how far they would go to carry out that evil. It should bother you to see that almost everything that we read about this, I don't want to say everything that we read, that's a possibility that everything we read is just as flawed as this, but certainly everything that we've been reading regarding this massacre, this genocide, has been regurgitated talking points from the IDF. And we have accepted their framing for 2 years. And it's hard not to accept their framing when everybody on CNN is repeating the framing, everybody on MSNBC is repeating the framing, everybody on Fox is repeating the framing, everybody at the New York Times is repeating the framing, everybody at the Wall Street Journal is repeating the framing, everybody in the House of Representatives is repeating the framing, everybody, and I mean everybody, even people who are standing up for Palestine, like they avoid the question of Hamas, right? And most people get shut down when they ask you, are you not going to condemn Hamas? Well, listen, motherfucker, I'm going to tell you Hamas don't even exist no more. I told you I can't do this work and not cuss. That's why I'm not pastoring right now. But you can join me for Sunday school. I am teaching Sunday school. I'm teaching Sunday school, and the course on Sunday school has been really, really good. Why you cannot be a Christian and be a capitalist. Why you cannot be a Christian and be a capitalist. You certainly should come and be a part of that Sunday school lesson. Let me see if I can find, here it is. Why you cannot be a Christian and a capitalist. I could just show you the graphics and all that. I mean, there's no graphics at all, actually. It's really simple. It's a 36 week. Here you go. Let me put it on your screen. It is a 36 week. Thank you, Nick. Sunday school every morning at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is super early, but come on, get it out the way. Why Christians can't be capitalists is 36 weeks of lessons where the Bible makes it clear that you can't. You can't. The Bible makes it clear that labor. Did you know this? The Bible in the book of Deuteronomy says that poor people should be paid their wages the day they do their work because, and the Bible literally says this, because they depend on it. Did you know the Bible says that you can't charge poor people interest? It literally says, don't charge poor people interest. It says in the book of James, it says, don't cheat your laborers out of their wages, because if you do, they will cry to me and it will be a sin unto you. The Bible says that every 7 years, every one of our debts should be canceled. I got debts on my record from 15 years ago. The Bible says they should have been gone twice over. The Bible says every 50 years, the land should be returned to the original inhabitants. How many times have we, we genocided they genocided the indigenous populations here. So, but the idea was the land was supposed to be returned in every way imaginable. Capitalism is antithetical to Christianity. It's antithetical to the kingdom of God economic system. And so for 36 weeks, this coming Sunday is week 3. You can go to patreon.com/the BPD show and download the syllabus. I have the first 18 weeks of a syllabus out. You do not have to be a patron to get the syllabus, and you do not have to be a patron to get the first 4. I can't type and talk. BPD show. I just have it there because that's the best place for me to upload files. So you can get the syllabus and you can get the first 4 lessons. Get it, download it, see for yourself. You can't be a Christian and be a capitalist. Sorry, Protestant work ethic. Sorry, WASPs. Sorry, prosperity gospel. Sorry. So join me for that on Sunday. Those of you who get up early enough to do that. All right, folks. I don't even know what we got. 7 whole minutes. That's a long 7 minutes. Nick, I know you got something out there for me. What you got for me, Nick? Yeah, you got something. Excellent. Because I got to go zen out, man. I might go get a bottle of wine. I ain't had wine. I don't know when. I might need to go get some. No, what I got to do is finish the work and have it out for you so that we can do this and make this move tomorrow. I need your help. Would you commit to reviewing this content? And then once you're confident in it, would you commit to pounding the pavement until somebody pays attention? That's all we can do. I appreciate y'all. And Nick, if you want to run my closing, I'll be out.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to patreon.com/thebp